Welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils post-game show, brought to you by the one and only DraftKings Sportsbook app. DraftKings Sportsbook right now, you can download using that code PHNX, bet just $1 on any NFL game this week and get $100 in free bets if either team scores at least 1 point. I'm joined, as always, by Brittany after a disappointing showing by the Sun Devils. Brittany, how are you feeling?
That's a really, really, really tough question because, you see during the fourth quarter, I was about to rip my TV out of the wall and just Hulk smash it into pieces on the ground out of pure frustration. So, I am very irritated and very disappointed and very sad. And also I have a little bit of the battered fan syndrome thing going on from past losses, and kind of like Jacob hit on with that 2014 year. Will, I feel your pain. He says, oh, yeah, I get that. Will, I'm right there with you. But yeah, like Jacob hit on. I'll keep going. Sorry. Like he hit on with that 2014 year, there was a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean,
there was just a lot of weird stuff.
Right when you think this team's going to be different, it's not, and it hurts really bad. So, yeah. I feel like I have an abusive ex-girlfriend that keeps gaslighting me, and that's what the Sun Devils are doing to me right now. It really hurts. I drank last night. I'm not really in the mood to drink right now, but I got to make the pain go away somehow. Always a letdown all the time. Jacob Franklin. Yeah.
Dude, Jacob, you totally hit the nail on the head with what you were saying yesterday, with it being very similar to the 2014 season. And after this loss to Utah, the fact that Arizona State has to go on the road, end the season in Corvallis, and then come back and face U of A. Don't like that. I don't like that at all one bit. And I really don't like the fact that Arizona State seemed to just absolutely resort to throwing everything out the window that's been working for them and just shooting themselves in the foot with stuff. So I'm not really 100% sure what they were doing. There were a lot of questionable things. The officiating was shitty. It was absolutely shitty in this game. And that's not to say that was the difference for Arizona State being a make it or break it thing, but it was one of those things that just adds on to like, what in the hell am I watching right now? Like, this is an absolute joke. So there's just so much that goes into, Arizona State and the Pac-12 conference overall, and how people take the teams that try to be a front runner seriously, because none of them ever really end up looking that great because of how the things shake out.
Yeah. Well, let's just get into the numbers first. Rushing on the ground, ASU had 148 total. Utah was able to run for 208 yards on this ASU defense. Passing yards, ASU had 237. Utah had 247. But the difference was key moments. It was big plays on third and longs that really hurt this Devils team both ways. And the thing that I was getting so frustrated about was, I mean, what was working in that first half was ASU was able to have their way on first down. They'd pick up 6, 7, or even get a first down. And then they started making it hard on themselves. And I think it was a little unfair of the commentators to blame receivers dropping the ball. There were some bad drops for sure, but don't get into that 3rd and 3. Don't get into the 3rd and 8 and rely on a slant across the middle. It just seemed like, for whatever reason, ASU decided to go away from the passing game on early downs. And in that second half, they were just so content with sticking to the run, and Utah wasn't having it.
It wasn't working for them. I mean, in the first half of the game, the run was working for them, but they were also mixing it up more with the passing game. And like you said, they were playing more aggressive. They weren't so scared to throw the ball down the field. And you saw the receivers that were making plays, but there were a lot of drops tonight, uncharacteristic drops. I felt like they targeted Andre Johnson a little bit more than I was anticipating that they would. But, they are trying to spread the love and get stuff going everywhere and not necessarily have it be one player in particular. Someone who I was surprised that had quite a few drops on their targets was Conyers. He's a player who is a tight end who transferred from Oklahoma, but that is the prime reason I'm sure he was not playing at Oklahoma and hit the transfer portal was because of his ability to reel in the catch,
Yeah, Conyers had a huge drop at the end of that game. On that third down, and it was just unopportunistic drops that really hurt this team. The one that I was not okay with, the public and the announcers especially getting mad at, was the Andre Johnson, the beautiful deep ball that was thrown to him. That's a hard adjustment that he had to make.
That was a tough grab.
And he got contorted and twisted after that. And the announcers were all over him. I'm like, yeah, you got to help Jayden out a little bit. And it was a great ball, but I mean, come on, it's an adjustment over the shoulder. He's a college kid. He's not in the NFL. But man, it was inopportunistic after inopportunistic. Devils couldn't capitalize, and they got ASU'd in the second half. They didn't score a point.
They really did. Well, what's the most absolute frustrating? This thing just keeps moving on me. So sorry if my sound's a little bit off. I'm trying to hold it and talk, and then it pivots. But anyways, something that's the most frustrating about this ASU team to me is that everything that they seem to have done in the last 3 weeks, especially the last 2 weeks since UCLA and then Stanford, it's almost like it was for nothing, because then they go out against Utah and they absolutely shit the bed and look terrible. There was seemingly no second half adjustments made that actually helped them improve. That whatever second half adjustments they made hindered them from any sort of progress. We saw that they decided they were going to just start attacking the run game more, and that was not working. I was not a fan of this game for a number of reasons. I'm sure a lot of people weren't, but I think it kind of comes down to this is a segment I want to do, and it's called "The Devils Are in the Details," because the devil in the detail could be what propels you forward, but it also can be what holds you back. And so the devils in the details tonight were what held them back, and it happens to be the same thing that haunts them and has plagued them all year. Things we thought they had moved away from, most specifically the penalties. And the issues with the offensive line, I was really, really surprised, Shane. We've talked about how they've been practicing with sound for weeks, especially since BYU. That was something that they didn't do before that. And then they go up on the road to Utah, and I don't want to say that they looked scared. They didn't necessarily look scared. They definitely looked like they were there to play, but they just didn't look like they were playing to their full potential or as aggressively as they could have. And then you see, also third down defense was terrible, but also offensively, the offensive line could not get things going. And they've been working on using a silent snap count, and it didn't seem like it mattered. You had Kellen Deesh, who was called with at least 3 holds in that game. There was a ton of penalties that also came back to shoot the Sun Devils in the foot in the long run. And so, like we said after the BYU game, we had a feeling that was not going to be the final game of the season where Arizona State would ultimately end up costing themselves the game due to penalties. So, are you really surprised?
Just happened to be in the same state. I do want to bring up a comment I saw earlier. Isaquan said, got to give credit to Utah, but Herm must have given the worst halftime speech of all time. Utah, for what it's worth, Utah played their asses off. They came out with their hair on fire.
And we knew they were going to.
Yeah, I mean,
they had a lot to play for in this game, and they really, truly did play with passion and not emotion. And I think that the key for them to do that was Aaron Lowe's mom. Like they said, she gave them permission to go and enjoy football again and just have fun and enjoy being out there. And that was what they did. So not only did they win the game for their late teammates, but they had a great time doing it, and they looked good doing it too. Quite honestly, they made Arizona State, who was the front runner at that point to win the Pac-12 South. If they had won that game, they made them look like a joke. So,
Jacob asked if Chase Lucas even helps. I mean, the problem, the biggest problem wasn't in the secondary. I can tell you that tonight. There were some missed opportunities in the secondary, but for the most part, I think that the corners and the safeties held up well. Just defensive backs in general, I thought played an okay game. But the thing that was killing them, it's the same thing that was killing them on offense. It's the early down yard game. I mean, in that second half, they were having their way on first down. They'd pick up 6 or 7, and then the playbook is wide open. And when the playbook is wide open, it makes everybody on the defense look bad. There was a lot of missed tackles also in that game.
There were a ton.
One of my biggest turning points was after that missed field goal, game still tied. Tyler Johnson had a chance to bring down what's his face? Blanking on his name.
The Conyers? No, not Conyers. I know who you're talking about. Obviously, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name either, even though they just said it so many times. But yeah,
I have so many. I've wrote so many things about him. Anyway, he had a chance to bring him down, and Tyler Johnson pushed him, and instead he stumbled, and then he gained 6 yards. Cameron Rising, thank you so much. And instead he stumbled, picked up 6 yards, and that could have been a 2nd and like 18. He was so far back. So I thought that was a huge turning point, and that goes with a lot of plays. I mean, the first contacts. Their running backs were great tonight. Their offensive line had some huge holes, but the first contact, you got to make that tackle, wherever it is. If it's a quarterback, if it's a receiver, if it's a running back. So yeah, it's unfortunate. But I thought Rising had a really good game. He played really inspired. Every time he'd get out of the pocket, he was looking to headhunt and go at somebody. He reminded me a lot of Jayden Daniels, that has some more weight to him. He played a really good game. He surprised me.
He did, and I mean that's the thing. It's not like you can even just get mad at Arizona State for losing this game, because you also have to give credit where credit's due. I mean, Utah did come out and play a really tough game, but like we said, we anticipated that that's what it was going to be. But it's just so incredibly frustrating because a lot of this, Arizona State still should have beat Utah. On paper, when you look at everything, you compare everything across the board, Arizona State is the stronger team, the better team, the more well-coached team, but they are the team that is not able to execute ever. Or I shouldn't say ever, but that struggles to execute consistently.
They struggle to capitalize for sure. Herm's relatively good. They brought up that stat, which fuck them for bringing up that stat. He's, I think, 15-1, his record at ASU when they're leading at halftime. And I knew as soon as they brought that up, things were going to go bad. So now he's 15-2, I believe. But this team just doesn't seem to. I mean, that's just kind of Herm in general. You have a team dead, or you have a team dying on the ground, you don't step on their throat. They just can't do that for whatever reason, which doesn't make sense because they have an incredible run game on the offensive end and should be able to stop big chunk plays because they still haven't allowed a play over 40 yards this year. So it doesn't really make sense on paper that they can't run away with games. I don't know if it's a scheming thing. I don't know if it's a game planning thing. I don't know if it's what Herm envisions is like. I don't know the way he wants to keep games close, but it just seems like the Devils team can never.
Shane, you're starting to go in and out a little bit. Your internet's going in and out again, bud.
Go ahead.
So yeah, it's just one of those things where it is really frustrating. And I also was not necessarily sure what Herm Edwards was doing all the time with his clock management. Like Utah scored a touchdown and then Herm Edwards calls a timeout before a kick. And it's like, okay, are you trying to ice the kicker on an extra point attempt? Like what was the logic behind that? And it's not like it ended up being something where Arizona State needed the timeouts in the end, but you never know how the game could have played out with the way everything ended up playing out that tonight. So it's another thing where you're wondering what they're doing there. You're wondering what they were thinking in terms of their halftime adjustments, what was said. I mean, I really don't understand the mentality of how that team just went out there and absolutely disintegrated.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was because there was 12 men on the field for the extra point. Okay.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that ASU was losing this game. But man, Covey, that little tiny white receiver that Utah has, I hate
the one who flexed
guts.
on them.
I hate his guts, man. He's a guy you'd love to have on your team, but holy hell, just bitching. Oh my God, I couldn't do it. I'm sure if ASU wins this game, I have no problem with it. But man, that was getting on my nerves. He's a great player. He plays hard, so all respect to him. But
well, it's just this game was just frustrating to watch all in all as a whole. There were a lot of flags. It didn't seem like Arizona State could seem to do anything right. There also was that one flag on the punt that was bobbled, and then Trainum dove in for the tackle, even though it didn't really, he called a fair catch, but then you don't really know what to do. And so then they're saying that the officials weren't right. Then they were right. And then it was a flag on both sides. So both teams got called. And I just felt like there were so many weird things, and it was hard to keep up with it. And then, Utah had a lot of really low tackles, and then they called the penalty on Anthony Cooper for getting Tyson Rising with a low tackle. And so it's just like
Cameron Rising.
It's almost like Arizona State, or is it? I don't know why I want to say Tyson Rising. Tyson Rising, Cam Rising.
Yeah,
I make up people's names on my own.
Speaking of Anthony Cooper and Cam Rising, for that matter, the first drive, then this goes to capitalizing. They had a chance to get Utah 3-and-out. Anthony Cooper was able to beat the tackle and get to Rising pretty easily, but he wasn't able to bring him down. Cam Rising escaped, and that was the tone of the game. And obviously they continued that drive and end up scoring, but that just kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. The ASU couldn't capitalize on not even mistakes, just couldn't capitalize on themselves, like getting into a place where they could take advantage of it. And that killed them.
It really did. And I mean, it's not like they weren't out there making some plays in itself, going back to the devils are in the details thing. You look at the one really big reception made where LV Bunkley Shelton used his wrist to pivot and get that momentum going and keep the play driving down the field. Same thing with Curtis Hodges. He was able to spin out of that one really big reception there and get down. Jayden Daniels had a couple plays like that where he was able to spin out and keep running. But overall, it's just like the offensive flair and the offensive pizzazz, that spice, that jazz, whatever's been making it extra special in the last couple of weeks was lacking. They were not incredibly aggressive, and Utah pulled some shit out of their own playbook and threw it back in their face, and the defense couldn't even defend it.
Yeah, there was the only egregious non-call in the game for me was on that trick play where Covey was supposed to throw it. And he ended up running. I thought there was a block in the back that was thrown. I thought it was pretty obvious, actually. And he was able to obviously gain 20 yards. So that one hurt. But yeah, they got creative with the play calling, which means they're confident. And that goes, again, with picking up 5 and 6 every time on first down. You can get those yards whenever you want. So you can be as creative as you want. And that's what really hurt.
And you knew they were going to be confident coming into this game. Like we talked about, we hit on the show yesterday because we didn't know this when we were talking earlier, that it was the first win that Utah had at USC since 1916. So the first win in 105 years for your program on the road. You're obviously going to be extra hyped. You have all the outside emotion and everything that has to do with your teammates and the passing. It just was a perfect storm for Utah, and they were able to channel the energy perfectly and really capitalize on what they wanted.
Yeah. And then, William brings up the DPI that they called the play after that. I thought it was uncatchable as well. And then I went back and watched it, and I think I had my ASU goggles on because it was out of bounds, but I still think it's technically catchable. So I let that one slide. I yelled to myself a little bit, and then I rewatched it, and I was like, it's okay. No, I don't think there was any injuries to Daniels. I'm worried about the Rashad White thing. It seems like it could be a nagging leg thing because he came out of the game, went to the tent, came back in the game, came out, went to the locker room, and then came back for the last drive of that second half. Of the first half. I wish there was no halftime. If there's no halftime, ASU has momentum that they can just keep. But the halftime kind of reset both teams. That's usually where ASU can turn the corner. But maybe
but honestly, they kind of needed that halftime. I mean, I know they had just gotten that interception right before the half, but I mean, without that, there was still a lot of momentum that was also going towards Utah's way. They still weren't having the hottest start, but they weren't ice cold either, so it was just one of those things. I mean, I really don't know what they talked about at the half. I don't know what the thought process was. I'm interested to find out what was said in the locker room at halftime, what some of those adjustments were, what the thought process was in terms of trying to run the ball more, especially when Rashad White's leg is messed up, which, talking about that, because you did bring it up a little bit earlier, I'm almost wondering if that was something that was maybe pre-existing before the game, something that was bothering him a little bit before he ended up getting up there. And then we saw it start bothering him again in the game when it got a little irritated. So I don't know, man. You have to be, at this point, this is the other thing that's not necessarily the greatest. They're going into a bye this week. If you're Arizona State, you really would have wanted to go into this bye week with a win. That would have put you at 6-1. It would have been 4-0 to start conference play for the first time since 2007. But of course, you're not there now. So it's a completely different aspect, a completely different mental state. And everything the Devils do from here on out is going to be that much more in terms of where they end up finishing this season.
Yeah, Jacob brought up Jacob brought up this point earlier. Let's talk a little bright side. They do still have to play Oregon State. They do still have to play UCLA, and they do still have to play Oregon. Those are 3 games that they can easily drop. I mean, they're hot right now. I don't expect them to lose 2-3, but I mean, you never know. They drop one, and all it takes is some crazy game later down in the year. But I mean, there's a lot of football to be played. It's not the end of the world. It's disappointing, but at the end of the day, a game like this, I'd rather just get blown out.
It's not the end of the world. No, you're right. It's not the end of the world, but this does, like we said, make this the rest of the season that much more important. It makes every single play in every other game that much more important because every other game now becomes that much more essential as a must-win game. And, every game is technically a must-win game, but, once you have 2 losses and you're at that midway point in the season, looking at your schedule, you realistically know you're probably going to face one more if you're Arizona State. It's not necessarily clear which one that might be. But you really can't afford to lose more than that. And if you're Herm Edwards, you really don't want to, especially with all of the outside noise that's going on with the NCAA investigation. That's just stuff you want to avoid and be able to really be put in the rearview mirror and not have to worry about it. So there's just so much right now, like I said, it makes everything that much more important.
There's so much going on with the ASU football program, but there's also so much more going on with ASU football on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You can bet a lot of things, props, over unders, win totals earlier in the season. You can also bet on the ASU basketball team, which is coming up soon in November. So if you want to get in on that action, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use promo code PHNX. You can bet just $1 on any NFL game this week, which we got a hell of a slate of NFL games tomorrow. I'm stoked for that. There's some really good games. It's like the first week where I'm like, finally, there's almost no bad games.
I just want to open a White Claw from my fridge, and the only one I grabbed was a lemon one. Yuck, sorry.
So if you want to bet on some NFL tomorrow, you can bet just $1 if you download the app and use code PHNX on any NFL game. You get $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. The last 0-0 tie in the NFL was in 1943. So I'd say it's pretty much a no-brainer. It's safe, it's secure, it's reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw cash whenever you want. It's a fun time over there at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So download that now. Use promo code PHNX, get your $100 in free bets. 21 plus, Arizona only, gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only, eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Thanks, William. I usually have better transitions. I'm trying to think of one for our next sponsor, but I think Britt will probably just take it away now.
Yeah, if you want to mow down your hair like the Utes mowed down the Sun Devils, get Manscaped.
I'll drink to that.
Because they just plowed right through them like it was nothing. And it can do that to your hair. And some hair can be stubborn. Shane, I'm sure you know how prickly some hair can be, super thick.
Yeah,
it has a hard time with some razors. Not with Manscaped.
I'm sad and I'm pouting like this, but there's also a reason why I'm feeling my face. It's because that lawnmower 4.0.
It has you feeling yourself? Ooh, that can be creepy. I should have said that. Sorry, I didn't think that one all the way. My bad. Sorry.
Yes, the lawnmower 4.0 is goated. They also have a bunch of other things that you can get at manscaped.com. So you can go over to their site at manscaped.com, use that promo code PHNX, get your 20% off and free shipping on their products like the Weed Whacker, the Lawnmower 4.0. As we mentioned, they got nice body wash. Their boxers are breathable, which I need right now because I'm getting a little sweaty. I always get really sweaty when we lose, and we have to talk about it. It's also because I have to turn my fan off. These post-game shows, the post-game loss shows always go by fast. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I'm sad.
Because I have to put my light right here because The fan in my room is absolutely terrible, and the light looks like I'm in a dungeon still. Almost as bad as last week, but not quite so bad. It's just really terrible, super shadowy. But this thing puts out so much heat. Like I just raise my hand a little bit closer towards it, and I can just feel it. Like it's at least a good 5 degrees hotter, just 3 feet away from me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel that. I feel that sweatiness.
What type of light do you have that's that hot?
I don't know, some big production light I bought on Amazon.
I'm just using a ring light, and I think it does me well, contouring my skin, looking all great. Okay, let's talk.
I don't
football.
have one.
Let's talk some good. As hard as it's going to be, let's talk some good because we do talk bad when ASU wins. So let's talk some good for a little bit, and then we can get back on trash and the Devils. What are some things that were encouraging for you, Britt? I got a couple things.
Well, thing that were encouraging for me was in the first half, ASU looked aggressive in their offensive play calling. I felt like that was good. You know, I was pleasantly surprised with how well they were able to run the ball against the Utah defense to start things out. I thought it was good, some of the catches that were able to be made, especially by the tight ends tonight. I did mention Conyers missed a couple, but really Curtis Hodges specifically, I think he has really stepped up and evolved into his own. I think that this season has been a great season for him. At the halfway point, I think that you can't argue that you would have wanted to have seen more from him at this point. I think he's had by far one of the biggest developments as a person on the team, along right up there with Ricky Pearsall. I think Pearsall looked great tonight. I would have liked to have seen him be targeted a little bit more.
Yeah,
he was a saving grace for Arizona State there on one of those really big third down plays. So,
I agree with you with the Ngata, William. I'd like to see the spark, but I mean, Chip didn't play as great as he normally does, and it was just a little weird in the game in general. But Ngata's so young, and people have to remember that these two guys. I mean, Chip's young too, but Rashad White and Chip take up so much of the run game because of how good they are. And I mean, in that first half, the holes were developing. Even in the second half, I mean, the offensive line, despite the penalties, was really good on the ground. But yeah, you're right. Confident play calling in that first drive, mostly the first half. Very, very, very confident. That's a word that I can kind of encapsulate the whole offensive play calling in that first half was confidence. They knew what they can get, and they were willing to take risk, and that kind of just went away in the second half. Jayden Daniels looked incredible. Most of the game, he looked really good. There were a couple decision-making things, but I mean, he was also just trying to do it all. He threw a great pass to Curtis Hodges in that first half. He threw a couple of really good passes to Curtis Hodges, but there was that one strike to Curtis Hodges to pick up that long, I think, 2nd and 20 after they accepted the holding call, which is a little weird to me because it would have been like 3rd and 8 or something. But in that first half, they were just playing inspired and confident. I mean, I keep going back to that word, but it was confident, and they were just lacking confidence. They got punched in the mouth to start the second half, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, it was a rough second half. Like Will's pointed out right now, Jayden Daniels did look sharp tonight. A lot of the drops were not on him. They were on the receivers. They were really well-placed balls. They just couldn't bring him in, but we're not going to trash them right now. We will focus on the fact that Jayden Daniels did have an all-around pretty decent performance tonight himself in terms of his comfortability back there. Yeah, he did get sacked a couple times, but we saw him looking to run the ball. He was still looking to be aggressive and make plays any way that he could. So, you know, it was nice to see that he continued to play his game and not look rattled, despite the fact that the offensive line was still struggling to get things going. You know, Jaden was going to try to get the job done either way, no matter what.
Yeah, I think what really kills this team offensively is, I mean, you have really, really, really good talent at multiple positions. Obviously, Jaden at quarterback and Rashad White at running back, and they bail you out a lot of the time when they need it. I mean, there was a couple times Rashad White in the first half after a holding call would catch a screen pass or a swing and just go pick up like 15 and bail. And that's one thing that the Devils, I don't think they're getting comfortable with it, but it's becoming such a regular thing because when this offense is working well, Jayden Daniels is sharing the sugar. He's throwing it to, I mean, those are Jaden's best games is when like the receiving stat line in the box score is like 5 for 50, 4 for 60, like 3 for 8, like 660. Like everybody has like big gains and like 5 or 6 catches. But it just felt like they were relying on their key guys more tonight. And that's not what this team is built around. And that's not what it's built for. So I think that really just really hurts when that's not going well.
I think it does. And I think that the noise factor too played a big it was
It
big in
sucks
what they
that
were
it
able to
did.
do because it
Sucks
caused
that
a
it
lot
did.
of it caused a lot of false starts and stuff. But some other things that I thought were good. We talked about the LV Bunkley Shelton catch, the Curtis Hodges catch. Conyers looked great. Daniels looked good.
Conyers was everywhere.
Darian Butler looked great tonight.
Oh,
I feel like
yeah.
Anthony Cooper played a very aggressive game, and I don't want to come after him for the penalties that he got because he is a young kid who's out there just trying to make plays with the next man up mentality. And I feel like some of those penalties were kind of questionable to call against him, so I don't know. I think he still played a good game. I think he went out there and put his all out there tonight with what he could do.
Mm-hmm.
So, you see players like him, Darian Butler, who were just trying and getting all over the field. And it's hard because then I saw, and I hate to say this, but I saw Merlin Robertson blow quite a few plays tonight.
Yeah, Merlin Robertson's getting exposed because they're dropping him back into coverage more, which I don't think that's where he should be. He's not built for that. I mean, there's just a couple things, and a lot of that's scheming. Kawan Markham did play amazing. That interception was great. It was an errant throw. It was a bad decision to do that with him lurking as a safety behind. But the break on the ball and just the play on the ball in general was fantastic. He's a bright spot. I mean, there's so many bright spots on this defense. And a lot of people are getting their shot right now because it's such a rotational defense. I mean, you can sub guys in and out where you usually don't lose a step, and that's kind of what it goes for this whole ASU team. But that's why you can't rely on one guy. That's why the Jayden Daniels can't dig you out of a hole every single possession.
No, he can't, and he doesn't intend to always do that. I think sometimes he gets a little caught up with thinking he is the only person that's available. And then we've seen him grow a little bit more, though, where he's been able to calm down and take some time to wait and try to find a receiver or set up a play or get a run off or something rather than just rush to something or try to make the play himself. But yeah.
Yeah. Robertson is definitely more of like an outside linebacker guy. That's why I get confused. I think it's just a probably like a stunt thing when they're blitzing where he gets caught up in man coverage or he's playing a flat and there's nobody on that side because of play calling on the offensive end. And that's probably why he's getting, and that might've been the plan of attack for Utah is to attack these linebackers. I mean, you saw them try to do that with Darian Butler and Darian Butler picked him off because Darian Butler is inhuman. He's inhuman. He's not inhumane. He's inhuman. That man is a reptilian on the field. He's incredible. I'm so obsessed with how Darian Butler plays football. He hits so hard.
He's amazing.
He can do anything. He can do anything. He's a utility guy. He's great.
And
but
it's
I feel like
we're frustrating.
I feel like we're giving them too much credit. So let's stop with the good. Let's go back to the bad.
Well, no, I was going to say it's kind of frustrating because we also saw quite a few other defensive guys get up there and get good pressure on Rising, but not be able to bring him down. And they were so close, but he was able to just scurry out of the way, And it was frustrating because they could have sacked him for a loss or tackled him for a loss of at least 5 yards or more on like 3 different occasions. And he was able to get ahead and gain at least 6 yards instead from the line of scrimmage. So it's one of those things where it's frustrating to watch because they saw the play unfold and they were going for it, but it was just a little bit too far ahead of where they were at and their muscle movements to get there. So
yeah, well, we're getting a taste of our own medicine as ASU football fan watchers because that's what everybody feels like with Jayden Daniels. It's hard to get a read on him, and Cameron Rising is deceptively fast. I mean, that man can skirt out of the pocket, and yeah, he made some pass rushers look like fools tonight, and some pretty big plays on 3rd and longs or even first downs where start the drives, gets out of the pocket, picks up 9, and that just kind of sets the tone. It's super deflating. There was that one, and I believe the 3rd quarter where it was 3rd and 9, and he scurried out of the pocket and picked up 11. It was just like, oh, that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And there were so many. Jacob, I'm so fast. I don't know if you know this, Brittany, but I'm so quick. Like, I don't know if you believe me or not. But
you played basketball. I'm not surprised.
Oh no, but like I'm faster than like probably anybody in Arizona.
I am not fast, but I am freakishly strong for a girl.
I'm 6'4" and run a 4.12.
I can't tell you what I run because I won't ever even try it because I don't like to because that means I have to do something and my heart rate's gonna just drop.
All right. Well, let's get into some closing stuff. Let's talk about the bad.
Okay,
Wrap it
we
up.
did not touch on this yet. Can we please discuss why Zendejas was not the person who went in for that field goal attempt that ended up getting batted? It came off his foot low, but then it got tipped, and it was just one of the most embarrassing field goal attempts. Like, what was that? And why was Zendejas not the kicker at that point?
I think it's a range thing. I think that Zendejas is more of their extra point closer, and I think that when they bring in other people like that, it's usually because of distance. And that was a far field goal. I don't know about attempting that in general. I think just move on and play a field possession game. But yeah.
Well, especially with the defense playing as well as they are. I mean, Kapinski's a great punter, but you don't need to necessarily pin them super, super deep or have it go out. I mean, just get it to go high or have it take a bounce and try to pin them by the end zone somewhere within the 5 and go from there and just count on your defense to try to get a safety or force a stop and force them to try to punt it back, So I get it either way. But if they were going to kick it, I know Zendejas has range. I would have thought that they would have put him in over this kicker. Yeah. So I really was so I just looked at it and all I could say was just, oh my God. As soon as it came off his foot, it was just,
Logan Tyler, 5'11" senior from Missouri. That's who the kicker that they brought in was. Yeah, I was just saying, I know Zendejas can kick it from very far, but that's usually what it is when college kicker or when they have two kickers on the college roster.
Yeah,
it's usually because of distance, and maybe Zendejas wasn't comfortable with doing it. There's a lot of factors. I don't know, but nonetheless, it was a very costly mistake. I mean, ASU takes a 3-point lead, and maybe you're looking at a whole completely different game. But
yeah.
Man, you just feel like you're saying that about everything tonight. Every bad play that you can remember, it's like that was the turning point. No, this was the turning point. I mean, they all were. A lot of the things that I'm bitching about are things that they should have capitalized on.
Well, the difference with what you're bringing up with that field goal too is not only would it have given them a 3-point lead, but also instead of turning the ball over right then and there where they were at from where they kicked the field goal and missed, you also would have had a chance to kick off and either pin them in the end zone back at the 25 if he decides to bring it out, stop them wherever they're at. But you still would have had Utah further back down the field, and they would have had more work to do to drive the ball back to the end zone to score again. So, I mean, you're not wrong. Not only is it something where it's like, oh, well, you don't necessarily know, but it would have set up a completely different field position on the next possession as well. I mean, so that could have been a huge game changer.
They're gifted great field position with that miss. Another thing that I was really disappointed with tonight, I mean, there was some guys missing and hobbled people and DJ Davidson. I mean, that hurts. But there was just no pressure. And if there was pressure, a lot of it came from the middle. And there wasn't a lot of contain. So that really hurt, not getting pressure on Cameron Ryan, because obviously we've touched on how much he was able to do on the ground.
Oh, he was rolling all over the place tonight.
And that doesn't happen if they get pressure. Maybe he gets flushed out, but the damage comes when he has 3 seconds to look in the pocket, go over his reads, and then take off outside of a tackle because then everybody's already downfield. So that really hurts when you can't get pressure at this level. If you're not getting pressure deep into Pac-12 play, it's hard to win games. And I think that's why they played DTR and UCLA really well, is because they were able to get some pressure.
They brought the pressure all night, and they completely threw off his game.
And in the second half, they switched from less stunts and more contain, and that's kind of what was missing tonight. I don't know if that was the game plan, because obviously in the second half they were able to run the ball with the running backs and not mainly rising, and that's not what was hurting them in the second half. But it was just a thing to note.
Yeah, Jacob, they were just not making stops anywhere on the field. Utah was really having their way with Arizona State in the second half, just getting bullied. It's one of those things. They're gonna have to go back, get back to work. Benefit for them is they do have a bye week this week, so get back to work. Start planning. You have big game against Washington State that are going to have a lot of eyes on you. And Washington State
Can
is
we
another
get a
one
day
of those.
game? Can we get a fucking day game, please?
For homecoming, and it's homecoming, so there is a possibility that it could be.
It should
There's
be.
a possibility it
It's
could
gonna be
be.
nice out. I can't keep doing this to myself, man. I go
You know
out on
what?
Friday nights, and then on Saturday nights, I'm just like, I want to go to bed. And but this right here, this comment right here, too much soft zone. I'm gonna get a shirt that says "fuck soft zone," "fuck three high shells," "fuck any scheme that pushes the that lets the offense pick up 5 yards on a curl route. I can't deal with that. It is so frustrating as a fan, and I know it's been working. Trust me, I know it's been working. That bend don't break. I know it's been working. But yes, the third and short, the attention to detail on what yardage is, I cannot fucking do it. I can't do it.
It has been very annoying.
But yeah, I want to get a shirt that just says "fuck soft zone." I got a shirt that says "fun guy" right now, though. I'm kind of a fun guy right now.
I'm rocking a throwback college shirt. R.I.P. I don't even know what side my hair is on, but college, my favorite, the old place.
Yes, we will see you at the tailgate. If you guys don't know what he's referring to, tomorrow morning, NFL Sunday. It's just a football show in general, but we talk mostly about NFL Sunday here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Me, Johnny Venerable, and Saul Bookman go live at 9 a.m. every Sunday to give you some insight into what's going on in the football world in general, not just NFL, but also college. We also give you some picks from that lovely DraftKings Sportsbook app. And we just have some fun. We usually start the show off with a shot of whiskey and just get kind of egregious, as Johnny Venerable would love to say. I'd buy that shirt. Good. I'm glad you would. What about a shirt with just like my face on it? Would you buy that?
Your mom would.
Yeah, probably.
I'm like, that might be the only person though.
I don't know. Look at this. I mean, look at this. Maybe just a shirt with like my eyes and the stat. Okay, never mind. Anything else before we get out of here, Britt, that you want to address?
No, you guys can head on over to gophnx.com sometime tomorrow morning, because I will be getting to work on my post-game story right now as soon as we get done getting that submitted and up. But most of you guys will probably be asleep by the time that's done. So head on over there tomorrow morning, check it out. Drop us some comments. Let us know what you think. Become a member. If you sign up, you get a free shirt. You can get the ASU shirt. And get access to all of our stuff on our website, our members only Discord channel. It's great. So make sure you become a member.
Yeah. I got 6 shirts in the mail right now. I'm really excited to rock the ASU shirt. Maybe I'll rock it in like a drunken rage of sadness. If they lose another game like this, and go torment some people in Old Town. But the merch is fantastic. There's a deal right now. I believe it's the Cardinals merch this week. You can buy one and get one 50% off at phnxlocker.com. Some good content. If you're a member, you can also get access to our members only Discord, hang out and chill with us behind the scenes. I was going to say it was fun, but it really wasn't that fun. I like talking to you guys.
This part's not bad because it's almost like, okay, so this is a therapy session. I put it out like that on Twitter because it is a therapy session. Everyone gets to come and talk, like get their feelings out. If you are a fan and you have something you'd like to hear other people vent about, you can drop a comment like that. Like, being a member is the best. How we totally agree with that. Like Jacob said, and so it's just a venting session. It's a great chance for us to all come together and bond. The story's coming along. That's the other thing I got to work on and finish tomorrow. There's a lot that's going to be going up on that Go PHNX site in the next couple days. So yeah.
Ooh, I just muted you. Your mic was going crazy.
All right.
Unplug it, plug it back in. I will outro us out before we get out. I'll let Britt come back in if she gets her mic fixed. But head over to our Twitters. You can follow me at Shane D. If you can follow Britt at bboyer07. Let's see if she's good now. Hello.
What'd I do?
Still buggy. Well, Britt, sign off for now. We will see you guys. I believe we'll be live on Monday at 3:30. You can catch us here on the YouTube channel, or you can just we go live on Twitter as well at our Twitter at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow Jacob on Twitter, but I don't recommend it. He's kind of a weird guy. So yeah, appreciate you guys, and we will see you Monday, or you can see me tomorrow on the Tailgate Show at 9 a.m. Peace.